Hello everyone, in this class we are going to discuss about amplitude modulation. So in last class we already discussed about what is modulation, what are advantages and what is classifications in modulation. So in this class we are going to discuss about what is amplitude modulation and how it is represented in time domain and also how it is represented in frequency domain. So amplitude modulation, that means modulation, amplitude modulation. So, modulation, which means changing. In analog communication, modulation means change in characteristics of carrier wave with respect to message signal. Amplitude modulation means changing amplitude of carrier wave with respect to message signal. So, how? Let's see. See, this is our message signal and this is our carrier signal. So, message signal contains information which need to be transmitted, and carrier signal is of a high frequency signal which is used to get good quality in communication. So, this is carrier, right? So, amplitude modulation means we are modulating it. This, I mean, like consider this as a carrier wave whose amplitude is A. Let's consider like maximum amplitude is A, maximum. And let's consider our message signal as x of t, which is our message signal, and our carrier signal as c of t. So why I'm saying this is t? T means time domain. I mean this is represented with respect to time. So we are saying this is time domain representation. And here this is our message signal, this is our carrier signal. Message signal is represented as x of t and carrier signal is represented as c of t. So now in amplitude modulation, as we are changing the amplitude of the carrier with respect to the message signal, that means now we will be getting so this is our modulated signal where amplitude varies. So that means here our information is carried in amplitude variations, and also if you observe here amplitude varies but frequency remains constant. So in amplitude modulation, amplitude varies but frequency remains constant, and amplitude modulation is mostly used in TV and radio broadcasting. And now then how it is varied, like we are saying where amplitude varies but how, let's see. So our this is our modulating signal, that is modulating signal as in message signal, or this is also known as baseband signal. So we don't know what we are sending, like we can send any information. So let's consider this as x of t. We don't know what is this, but carrier signal we know, like here we are using sinusoidal wave, right? So we can consider our carrier signal which is c of t as cos omega ct, and it has some particular maximum. We like we assumed maximum amplitude to be a, right? So we can represent our carrier signal as this a cos omega ct. So this is our carrier signal and this is modulating signal. So let's see what we get at the end of amplitude modulation. So here we are modulating, right? That means we are changing this amplitude. Only this amplitude varies, not frequency. Frequency remains constant. So only this part changes, and we will be getting this. This is our modulated signal. That means if you consider this as a modulated signal, then this is A and this is x of t, right? This will be like this maximum amplitude. Now amplitude will be a plus x of t. This is what we get. See, so here in modulated signal, our a remains constant, but x of t varies. So our modulated signal is like is varies along with the information. So this is what happens in amplitude modulation. And if you observe carefully, look at this shape, like this shape is similar, almost similar to our message signal. See, look at these and this. So this imaginary shape is almost similar to our message signal. Using this, we can retrieve our information at the receiver end, that we can discuss later in while we discuss about detectors. But for now, let's just know that this is the shape which we retrieve at the receiver end to collect our information. And this part, like this imaginary line, is known as envelope, which gives us information at the receiver end, and this is represented as E of t. So guys, in amplitude modulation, we need to know, just like we already know this terms, but in amplitude modulation we need to know what is message signal, that is we consider this as x of t, and carrier signal, which is considered as c of t, and modulated wave, which is considered as s of t, and 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 we considered carrier wave to be a cos omega ct, because this is a sine signal, right? So we consider that as cos omega ct, and we assume the maximum amplitude to be a. Like you can take this as anything, like you can consider this e, c, or anything, but here I am considering this as a. So, and finally we got modulated wave as this. So amplitude modulation is a, like in amplitude modulation, maximum amplitude of our so in amplitude modulation, our carrier wave's maximum amplitude varies proportional to our instantaneous values of our message signal. So that is amplitude modulation, and we consider our carrier wave as a cos omega ct, and we consider modulating signal as x of t, and at the end we will be getting our modulated signal as a plus x of t, where this is called envelope, using which we retrieve the information at the receiver. So this is what, like this is a representation in time domain. This is all with respect to time domain. Now let's see how this is represented in frequency domain. So frequency domain, how we are, I mean, like in order to convert this time, we know how they are represented in time domain, but we don't know how they are represented in frequency domain. So in order to convert these known time signals into frequency signals, we use Fourier transform. So I hope you already read this Fourier transform in your mathematics, but you don't need to have like deep knowledge about that. You just need to have a basic knowledge about Fourier transform in order to understand every derivatives in analog communication. So generally these two are main formulas of Fourier transform. That is, this is to convert a frequency domain signal into time domain signal. But we don't need this. We need this one, that is Fourier transform of a time domain signal. Like here we know time domain signal, and this formula is used in order to convert time domain signal into frequency domain signal. So here, see, look at this. We already know, like as I said before, we already assumed, or we already know how they are represented in time domain. See, we already know like how they are represented, or how we know. So we have some knowledge about them in time domain. So in order to get in frequency domain, we know this function in time domain, so we can convert them using this Fourier transform into frequency domain. So that is frequency domain. In order to convert them into frequency domain, we have formula integral minus infinity to infinity f of t, that is the function in time domain, into e power minus j omega t dt. So how we convert our signals into frequency domain signals. So finally we got our signal. This is our modulated signal, right? And we have this as our modulating or message signal and this as a carrier signal. So how these are converted into frequency domain, let's see. And when we talk about this one, that is message signal, we don't know, like as I said before, this is any random signal. Like this contains information which may vary. I mean, this is not any particular sine signal or this is not any particular cosine signal. It may vary with respect to time. So this can't be given a particular defined function. So as we assume this as x of t, when we convert this into frequency domain, we will be getting x of omega. Let's consider this. So this is our message signal when we consider into frequency domain, and let's consider this bandwidth lies between minus omega m and omega m. And see here, let's consider this as a message signal. See, look at this. Is this any type of cosine or sine? Like this can't be defined, right? So we are not, like, we just assume this as x of t. So when we convert this into frequency domain, let's consider that this signal lies between frequency range minus omega m and omega m. This is frequency and this is x of omega. So our function in frequency spectrum lies between this. That means there will be no information out of this range. Like information will be between this range, that is minus omega m to omega m, and there will be no information rather than out of this part. So that means our information will be in between this range. But guys, have you ever heard, like in our practical life, we might have here like 20 hertz or 200 kilohertz or 300 kilohertz, but have you ever heard minus 20 hertz? Like you have heard this, but have you ever heard minus 20 hertz? No, right? Like have you ever heard negative values of frequency? No. That means in practical life we won't be using negative frequencies. We will be dealing with positive valued frequencies. So that means these all, like there will be no minus omega m to 0 in our practical life. We will be only having 0 to omega m in our practical life, but this is considered for mathematical purpose. Practically we will be considering only this part, 0 to omega m. We won't be considering minus omega m to 0. So this is this is how we represent our modulated signal in frequency domain. So now let's take a look at how frequency domain signal is represented. So our carrier signal is a into cos omega ct, right? So how this is represented in frequency domain? So generally Fourier transform of 1 is 2 pi impulse function. I think you all know what is impulse function. Impulse function is nothing but, like, see, look at this. This is impulse function. This is impulse function. And before going to discuss about this, we need to know a frequency shifting theorem in Fourier transform. That is, any function, for example, let's consider this function whose Fourier transform will be x of omega. If it has something like this in front of it, then there will be shift in the frequency like this. So when there is a multiple of e power j omega ct in front of any function, then when we apply Fourier transform to it, then we will be getting a frequency shift in our resultant Fourier transform. So that means if the Fourier transform of 1 is 2 pi impulse of omega, if we multiply this with this function e power j omega ct into 1, that means there will be omega c shift in this function. So we will be getting 2 pi impulse function of omega minus omega c. So do you get this right? So this is important here. So c of t, which is carrier wave, can be represented as this, and cos function can be written as 1 by 2 into e power j omega ct plus e power minus j omega ct. So when we apply Fourier transform for this particular c of t, that means we are applying Fourier transform for this. That means, so a is constant, right? So a will be like just we need to only consider this. A is constant, so even we apply Fourier transform for a constant, we will be getting this a into Fourier transform of cos omega ct. That means 1 by 2 Fourier transform of e power j omega ct plus e power minus j omega ct. So as I said before, from this Fourier transform of e power j omega ct is 2 pi impulse function of omega minus omega c. In the same way, Fourier transform of e power minus j omega c into 1 will be 2 pi into impulse function of omega plus omega c. So when we substitute this in here, we will be getting a into 1 by 2 into Fourier transform of j omega ct. From here will be 2 pi impulse function of omega c, that is 2 pi impulse function of omega minus omega c, and Fourier transform of this function will be 2 pi impulse function of omega plus omega c. So finally, when we cancel this 2 with respect to this, we will be getting pi a into impulse function. And when we represent it graphically, this is what we get after we apply Fourier transform. That is when we convert a time domain carrier wave signal into frequency domain, and we will be getting this. This at omega c, this at, see, we got two impulse functions, right? So this is our carrier wave, and so this is our carrier wave, and this is our modulating wave, and our modulated wave is s of t is equals to, that is s of t is equals to a plus x of t into cos omega ct, right? So now we got this function. Now we need to calculate, we already got for this function, which is a pi, we already got for this function. Now we need to calculate for this function what is Fourier transform of this function. So Fourier transform of this function, in order to calculate that, this can be represented as x of t into cos omega ct can be represented as we know, as we already seen before, that in turn can be represented as, so 1 by 2 into x of t into e power j omega ct, x of t into a power j omega ct. As I said before, which is we use, that is frequency shifting theorem, that is when we multiply any function with e power j omega ct or any multiple like this, then there will be shift in frequency. So we apply this here and we get, so that means finally by substituting this value and this value, we get our modulated wave as plus, so when we represent this graphically, we will be getting can see we got two bands, and this is a final modulated signal in frequency domain. So this side, I mean, like, let's consider this as a carrier frequency. This side of carrier frequencies, that means above carrier frequencies, this is upper sideband, and frequencies below carrier frequencies, this is lower sideband. This is USB and this is LSB. So now, so this is how we represent, how we represent our modulated amplitude modulation in frequency domain. So, but as I said before, we won't be considering this because this is negative frequencies, which is not which is not there practically. So we will be dealing with this. Let's take this. So when we calculate bandwidth, like, what is the bandwidth of this, like what is the particular bandwidth through which we are sending information? See here, this is omega m and this is omega m, so total is 2 omega m. But see, this is omega c, right? This is omega m, that means this is omega c, this is omega m, means this point will be omega c plus omega m. This is omega c and this distance is omega m, that means this point will be omega c minus omega m. So bandwidth means upper side point minus lower side point. So finally when we do that, we will be getting omega c plus omega m minus omega c plus omega m. So we will be getting our bandwidth as 2 omega m, which means, have you, just let me give you, see, look at this here. Bandwidth of our message signal is omega m, but our resultant modulated wave got 2 omega m. That means here we, for example, let's consider here we only have 30 kilohertz of bandwidth where we can transmit our information, but here we will be having 60 kilohertz. That means our range of communication, that means our range of sending information increases using modulation process. So this is how we represent our amplitude modulation in frequency domain and time domain. So today in this class we discussed about what is amplitude modulation and how those are represented in time domain and frequency domain. In next class we will discuss what is modulation index and transmission efficiency. Thank you.